Welcome to my channel. Subscribe and enjoy my new stories every day. I had always admired how the simple sight of fresh flowers could brighten Lara's day, especially the rare coral roses she cherished so deeply. Yet, as I stood in the florist's shop, holding a bouquet of those very roses, the seed of suspicion planted itself firmly in my mind. It had been months since I had brought her flowers. Work had been all-consuming, and our evenings, once filled with laughter and shared dreams, had dwindled to polite exchanges over quick dinners. Determined to rekindle the spark, I had taken a detour to Bloom and Company, the new florist shop in our neighborhood. The bell chimed as I entered, the scent of myriad flowers enveloping me. A young salesman, with a genuine smile, approached. "Good afternoon. How can I help you today?" he asked, his eyes flickering with recognition when I requested the coral roses. "Ah, a fine choice. These are quite popular. Actually, I deliver them to your house every week," he remarked casually as he prepared the bouquet. I paused, my hand stilling in midair. "Every week? That can't be right. I haven't bought flowers in months." He glanced at his clipboard, eyebrows furrowing. "Yes, every Friday morning. To a Mr. Elliot Harwood." The name struck a chord of dissonance in my heart. Elliot Harwood was our neighbor, a charming, too friendly man who always had too much interest in Lara's affairs. "And who, may I ask, pays for these deliveries?" My voice was calm, but beneath the surface, a storm was brewing. The salesman checked his records, oblivious to the earthquake he had just caused in my world. The bills go to Mr. Harwood, but they're delivered to your address." I thanked him, my mind racing as I took the bouquet. The drive home was a blur of red lights and the incessant tick of the car clock. With each second, the betrayal deepened, the image of Lara and Elliot laughing together, sharing moments that were meant for us, consumed me. Arriving home, I found Lara in the garden. She looked up, surprised but smiling as she saw the flowers. "For me? They're beautiful, but what's the occasion?" "Let's talk inside," I said, the weight of the roses in my hand now a burden of grief. In our living room, the truth spilled out, as messy and painful as I had feared. "Elliot Harwood has been sending these to you, hasn't he?" The question was a blade, sharp and cold. Lara's face paled, her usual composure slipping. "Yes, but..." "I don't need to hear your excuses, Lara. Not anymore." The coldness in my voice surprised even me. She tried to explain, tears mingling with feeble attempts at justification, but the veil had been lifted. The woman I had loved, trusted, and built a life with was a stranger. The following days were a haze of anger and hurt. Revenge thoughts whispered through my mind, growing louder with each passing moment. The idea wasn't just about retaliation, it was about reclaiming my life from the ruins of deception. Lara's infidelity, now undeniable, shattered the illusion of our perfect life. As she packed her things, her pleas for forgiveness faded into the background. I was determined to ensure she regretted her betrayal deeply and profoundly. She would leave not just our home but the life she knew. The salesman's innocent revelation had set the stage for a dark journey. I hadn't just lost a wife, I had gained a mission. My revenge would be meticulous, a reflection of the pain I bore. Lara would leave, and her departure would be the first step in a larger scheme, a masterpiece of retribution. As the door closed behind her, leaving only silence and the scent of roses, I realized that this was just the beginning. The real game was about to start. As the echo of the closing door faded, I stood in the hollow silence of our once shared home. The rooms, filled with memories and echoes of laughter, now seemed like a stage after the actors had departed, empty and somewhat surreal. My heart was a battleground between sorrow and rising fury. The need for action, to do something tangible with the seething anger, was overwhelming. I paced the living room, my mind racing. First, I needed information. If Lara and Elliot had been this reckless, what other secrets lay buried? I reached for my phone and dialed a number I had sworn I'd never need. "Max, it's me," I said when the line connected. "I need your help." Max, an old college buddy, had ventured into private investigation after a brief stint in law enforcement. His voice was calm, a steady anchor in the chaos of my emotions. "What's going on?" "Lara, she's been having an affair with our neighbor. I want to know everything. Can you dig into this for me?" There was a brief pause. "I'm on it. I'll need some details, but I'll keep everything discreet." With Max set to uncover the depths of Lara's deception, my thoughts turned to Elliot. The betrayal was a double-edged sword. It had cut through the fabric of our daily life, but it also provided the clarity of purpose. Revenge needed to be precise, impactful. The next morning, under the guise of a friendly jog, I found myself on the path that ran past Elliot's house. Timing was perfect. He was just retrieving his newspaper. I stopped, feigning a stretch, and called out to him. "Morning, Elliot. Beautiful day, isn't it?" Elliot looked up, a guarded smile on his face. "Yes, indeed. Haven't seen you out here in a while, have I?" "No, you haven't." "Been busy," I said, my tone casual but my mind sharp, analyzing his every move, every flicker of his expression. We talked about trivialities, the weather, the local sports team's latest game. But then, I steered the conversation. "Strange, though, how some things just slip our notice, right? Like how you've been sending roses to my wife." Elliot's face paled, his smile faltering. "I don't know what you mean." "Don't you?" Because the florist was very informative. It's surprising what people will share when you ask the right way. My words were deliberate, each one dropped like a stone into the still waters of his composure. "I think you should leave," Elliot said, his voice low, a hint of a threat beneath the polite facade. "I will. But this isn't over, Elliot." "Not by a long shot," I replied, locking eyes with him before turning and jogging away, leaving him in the wake of impending storm. Back home, Max's first report came through. Calls, messages, meetings, the sordid details of Lara and Elliot's affair outlined in black and white. It was damning. More than enough to ignite the next phase of my plan. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of fire, I sat at my desk, plotting. Legal maneuvers, financial disruptions, I would use every tool at my disposal. Elliot's reputation, his comfort, his peace of mind, I would dismantle them piece by piece. The plan took shape, a complex web of moves and countermoves. Every action calculated to bring maximum impact. My revenge would not be a blunt instrument but a scalpel, precise and cutting deep. The night grew deep, and the house was quiet, too quiet. But in that silence, a resolve was forged. Lara had disappeared from my life, but her shadow remained. I would ensure that shadow haunted both her and Elliot for a long time to come. The game was set, and I was ready to play. The dawn was breaking, a gray wash across the sky, as I finalized the first part of my plan. The computer screen before me glowed with an array of financial documents and personal information, ammunition for the coming battle. Elliot's life, once an enigma behind friendly smiles and neighborly gestures, was now laid bare through Max's meticulous investigation. It was time to shake the foundations of his seemingly perfect existence. My first move was subtle, a whisper in the right ears. I had discovered through Max's digging that Elliot's business was not as clean as his public persona. A few strategic calls to local regulators to hint at potential discrepancies in his company's finances were all it took. The seeds of doubt were sown, ready to sprout chaos. Later that morning, I went to see a lawyer, a specialist known for his ruthless efficiency in dealing with complex divorce cases, even though my own divorce was already finalized. I presented the evidence of Lara's affair, emphasizing the financial implications. "I want to revisit the financial settlements," I told him, sliding the folder across the desk. "It seems there were undisclosed factors that influenced our marital assets." The lawyer, a sharp-eyed man in his 50s, flipped through the documents with a practiced hand. I see. This could certainly change the landscape of your previous agreement. Let's say we could push for a renegotiation, potentially even claw back some of the settlement given the circumstances. I nodded, satisfaction curling within me like a slow flame. This wasn't just about money, it was about sending a message. The following day, I encountered Elliot at the local cafe. He was alone, looking disturbed, his usual charm nowhere in sight. I chose a table close to his, close enough to overhear the tremor in his voice as he spoke on his phone, likely grappling with the fallout from the inquiries I had initiated. Seeing him rattled gave me a cold sense of pleasure. I approached him as he hung up, his eyes widening slightly when he saw me. "Rough day, Elliot?" I asked, my tone deceptively mild. He stiffened, his voice tight as he responded. "Just business challenges. Nothing I can't handle." "Oh, I'm sure," I said, leaning in. "But, you know, problems tend to pile up, don't they? Just when you think you've got them handled, something else comes up. Something unexpected." Elliot's gaze was wary, his forehead lined with stress. "What do you want?" "It's not about what I want," I replied smoothly. "It's about what you took. You played a risky game, Elliot. And in every game, there's a price to be paid." I left him sitting there, his coffee untouched, as I walked away, the weight of my words hanging in the air between us. Back at home, Max sent me another update, photos and messages from Elliot's phone, which painted a clear picture of his desperation. He was scrambling to contain the damage to his business, his reputation slowly eroding under the scrutiny I had orchestrated. That evening, I sat in the quiet of my study, plotting my next move. Each step had to be calculated with precision. The goal was not just to dismantle Elliot's life but to do so in a way that he felt every moment of it, that he understood the depth of betrayal he had stepped into by involving himself with Lara. The night deepened around me, and the screen's light was a beacon in the darkness. There was no joy in this path, only a grim satisfaction. I was a man wronged, a man whose life had been upended. But I would not be a victim. Instead, I would be the architect of retribution, weaving a web so tight around Elliot and Lara that escape would be impossible. The game was far from over, and I was just getting started. The morning was crisp, the first hint of autumn in the air as I prepared for the final act of my carefully orchestrated revenge. Today, everything would come to a head, the stage was set, the players ready, and the audience unknowing. My plan had been meticulous, every detail scrutinized to ensure the ultimate downfall of both Lara and Elliot. As the sun rose, I drove to the office of a contact who worked in the local media. The documents and evidence I had gathered were damning, enough to spark a scandal that would burn everything Elliot had built to the ground. I handed over the envelope, heavy with the weight of betrayal. "Make sure this gets the coverage it deserves," I instructed, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside. The contact nodded, understanding the implications. "It'll be the headline by noon." Satisfied, I returned to my car and dialed Max's number. "It's time," I said simply. "Got it. Sending the last batch of evidence to Lara's lawyer now," Max replied. His role had been crucial, and soon, Lara would face the legal consequences of her deceit. The rest of the morning passed in a blur of anticipation. By early afternoon, news of Elliot's financial indiscretions and personal misconduct had exploded across social media and the news. I watched from a distance as his world began to crumble, the reactions of shock and disdain from the community feeding the cold fire within me. But it was the meeting I had scheduled for late afternoon that would be the climax of my revenge. I had invited both Lara and Elliot to a secluded meeting spot under the guise of discussing a settlement. The location was private, away from prying eyes, where the final confrontation could unfold without interruption. As they both arrived, confusion and suspicion on their faces, I greeted them with a grim smile. "Lara, Elliot," I began, my voice cutting through the tense air. I suppose you're wondering why you're both here. Lara, her face pale and drawn, looked between Elliot and me. What is this, Michael? What do you want? Elliot remained silent, his usual charm nowhere to be found, his face etched with worry. I wanted you both to know the extent of your betrayal, I said calmly. And to show you that every action has consequences. Elliot shifted uncomfortably. Michael, whatever you think we've done. Save it, I snapped, my usual calm demeanor slipping. I know everything. The roses, the messages, the secret rendezvous. And now, everyone else knows, too. Lara's eyes widened in fear. You didn't. I did, I confirmed. Your affair, Elliot's illegal business activities, it's all public now. I've made sure of it. The shock on their faces was palpable, but I wasn't done yet. And there's more. I've taken the liberty of ensuring that the both of you will face every legal repercussion possible. Financial ruin, social ostracism, and criminal charges, it's all waiting for you. Lara looked devastated, her eyes brimming with tears. Why, Michael? Why go this far? Because you broke me, I said quietly, the admission costing me more than I expected. And I needed you to understand the depth of my pain. As the reality of their situation sank in, the desperation and despair on their faces were almost too much to bear. But I steeled myself against any lingering feelings. This was justice, however harsh it might seem. I want you both out of my life, forever. We will never speak again, I declared, turning away from them, the finality in my voice echoing around us. Leaving them behind, I walked away, the cool air mingling with a sense of emptiness. Revenge had been achieved, but at what cost? They were out of my life, their futures destroyed, but the shadow of what I had lost lingered. As I drove away, the sun set behind me, casting long shadows across the road. I had won, yet the victory felt hollow. They were gone, but the hatred of betrayal, the memory of our shared past, would haunt me forever. The chapter was closed, but the book of my life would forever bear the scars of this battle.